class. Okay, so I have the Teach Well section of this assignment, and I'm so excited to be done with my 6-week series so that I can share it with you. I have always worked with children and still do, although not in a local church setting, but since John is a Sunday school teacher at our church, I've been thinking a lot about what could be done in our church for just training children's workers. It's so hard to get children's workers to come and show up to a training meeting around here. I don't know if it's like that at your ministry settings, but I tried to keep the curriculum as kind of to the point and concise as I could to hopefully be able to entice people to come to just a 1-hour meeting for 6 times. So I opened the curriculum with who, what, where, when, why. Who this curriculum is for the children's workers in your church who are doing the teaching portion. So if you do a large group teaching and then break up into small groups with different leaders, this is for the people who are doing the teaching portion. And what it's for, we're going to be integrating the most important main points of all of the breadth of knowledge that we've gained in this class into these little nuggets. Where it's a good idea to do this class in the children's ministry area where you actually do your children's ministry on Sundays so that you can utilize all those materials. And you could do it midweek or on Sunday after service maybe. And why, I put this in the introduction, why should you ask your dedicated volunteers to give up 1 more hour of their week? And it's because the kids deserve our whole hearts. And a lot of people discount children's ministry and say, oh, we're just giving them knowledge for the future, or it's just about taking care of the kids so their parents can have a Sunday morning experience. And that's just so disrespectful to God's creation. And so I just want our teachers to understand that it's important that they really develop their teaching skills and give the kids the best they have. And so we as a church want to help them do that. And so this curriculum is our effort in that direction. So I will give you a brief overview and then dive in. So week 1, we're going to say start with you because leaders go first. So the beginning of being a good teacher is you got to start with you. You have to receive from the Lord what you're about to give. Week 2, know yourself. We're going to be talking about how your underlying beliefs influence your teaching. Week 3, know your students. So that's going to be about developmental models. Week 4 is know your aim. So we're going to be talking about the importance of a thesis, and this is a big one for children's ministry especially. Week 5 is shoot wide. So it's about differentiating instruction for different learning styles and using different learning modes. And week 6 is talk about it. So that's about how to lead an effective discussion. All right, so in week 1, we're going to open up with an activity that kind of gets people moving, uses the kinesthetic mode. And it basically, the class is going to break up into 2 groups. And they're going to follow a trail to reach an ending point that you've pre-designated somewhere on the church campus. But the difference is that one person from each group is going to find that location first. And so when the groups actually go, they'll get some instruction from their leader that knows where they're going. But the leader isn't allowed to go there and say, follow me. They have to use their words and say turn right, go straight. So you can see this curriculum is very, it's for children's workers. They, we like to get the teachers in that mode of acting like kids, thinking like kids. And so we're always going to want to get them active and being silly. And so we're going to start with that activity and then coming back to the classroom, talk about how the fact that the leader went first helped the group achieve their goal, and what it would have been like if the leader had not gone first and everyone was kind of on a wild goose chase trying to find the goal. So using that as a kind of example. In this lesson, one of the main points is a quote from Pasmino: "Those who are identified as teachers must be evaluated in terms of the extent to which they give evidence of having received the gift of wisdom from God." So in the next section of like the teaching, this is going to be a listening activity. The presenter is going to be just speaking like in lecture form about the importance of receiving from the Lord first what you're about to give. So a lot of people just read their lesson plan in the morning and just go in and give it to the kids, and what results is a really purely academic experience for the kids. And what we really want is for the teachers to be ministering from the place of their hearts. So that way we're moving into like a spiritual transformation of the kids, because the adult has been transformed by this biblical truth in advance. So another important part of this lesson is God is the teacher in biblical education. So what I'm hoping that participants are going to get out of this lesson is realizing that they're kind of off the hook. They are not the one with the responsibility. God is the teacher, and they are the conduit. So in each lesson, we're going to move straight from the like teaching into a discussion that's based on, we have 5 questions that are based on Bloom's taxonomy, kind of getting people to open up and bring this teaching into a deeper place. And so I won't go through all the questions here. And then I'm always going to end the lesson with a weekly challenge. So that kind of, that represents the creating aspect of the cognitive domain. And it's also particularly helpful for your dynamic learners who are just like, I want to go, I want to get something done, I want to be proactive. And so I'm going to give them some really tangible ways that they can take that learning into the next week. So week 2 is know yourself. So we've learned a lot in this class about culture, about philosophies of education, about a lot of stuff that happens under the surface. And so I just want to, in this lesson, give our teachers a little glimpse of how important that underlying stuff is. A lot of people aren't aware of like how much is under the surface. So the kind of visual for this is about plants. I'm going to have people go outside and pick weeds. I'm going to bring some plants into the classroom and just use that as an object lesson of showing people how much of the plant is actually under the surface, and that's the same with us. So Peter Berger says reality is socially constructed. So in the teaching section, people are going to be learning about culture and philosophy and different modern philosophies of education, just real briefly, and then kind of take those nuggets and think about where they're coming from and how that might already be influencing their teaching. And also about their role, and are they, a plant? Do they see their students as a plant or a blank slate, or are they on a journey? And then again, go through discussion and response. I'm going to pick up the pace real quick. So know your students is week 3. That's going to be about developmental models. We're going to open up talking about what it's like to be a left-handed person at a tightly packed dinner party, and how when the world is not made for you, it can feel really off-putting, and you can feel kind of invisible and like people aren't thinking about you. So in the same way, we can't just approach our students like every child is the same. There's developmental models, and so we're going to be learning about those developmental models through group presentations in this lesson. In week 4, we're going to talk about know your aim. A lot of people, adults and children's workers, will focus on way too many things in one sermon or in one lesson. And so this is about identifying a thesis and really zeroing in on that. We're going to be practicing that in lesson 4. Lesson 5 is about shoot wide. So again, there's an opening activity that is a water war. I won't go into details. And then there's going to be both an individual reflection on learning styles and a group experience and discussion on learning modes. So kind of working with the multiple types of learners that you have in your class. And that also includes a couple appendices that will give you what you need for that. And then in week 6, it's about leading a discussion. So we're going to use Bloom's taxonomy, just like we have in this whole lesson plan, to go through 5 levels of questioning, up to 6 if possible, to kind of dig in deeper with students as they're discussing what you've taught them in their lesson. And again, we're going to be practicing that at the end of this lesson with your teachers so that they can get ready for the following Sunday. And each week, their weekly challenge is going to be some aspect of either evaluating their previous week or preparing for their next week of teaching based on what they have learned. So I'll just end with this final quote. So neither the one who plants nor the one who waters is anything, but only God who makes things grow, 1 Corinthians 3:7. So I just want to leave you with that to say, yes, we all want to teach well. Yes, we are going to do our best because our kids deserve it and it pleases the Lord. And then we're also just going to trust him and let the teaching lay in his hands because he's the one who transforms our kids. So thanks.